been here almost 20 years. It is an unbelievable privilege and honor to work on behalf of our student athletes and coaches. So to kick off today, we're going to start with a highlight film of my career. So here we go, everybody. Pay attention. Pay There you go. Round of applause for our student athletes. I guess the film crew made some edits there. Sorry, everybody, if you missed me. Y'all, we have a wonderful program here for you today. This is our 12th annual scholarship celebration. And again, I just can't get over the room and how it's grown and the energy here. It is fantastic. So proud to be a Demon Deacon. Before I go any further, there's just a few folks I would like to thank. It's actually a pretty long list, so hang tight. ASM and our Proof of the Pudding partners for the wonderful meal and the setup to today to have this looking so fantastic. Round of applause, y'all, if you don't mind. I'd love to thank our donor experience team of Allison Edwards, Jacqueline Guile, Amber Morris, Joan Werner, Lori Venuto, Blake Lowry, Jackson Palmer. They've been fantastic in terms of helping set up and prep for this event. Our calling officers, Alan Ashworth, as you know, we'll talk about Alan in a minute, Chris Gray, Paul Kennedy, Noel Shepard, Bill Mayerfield, Barry Faircloth, Jared Kishbaugh, John Hoban. I think that's everybody, so we're going to stop there. But I really do want to take a moment to thank Alan Ashworth. As you all know, Alan joined us close to 15 years ago, part of our development staff. He pours his heart and soul into this event. If you have Alan's number, shoot him a text. He got sick and can't be here today. It really is bumming him out. He's sending me text messages right now. Make sure you say this. Make sure you do that. Is so-and-so at table 4? Alan, I think we're going to be all right. But he cares so much about the experience for our student athletes today, about the connections we hope that are made, about the relationships for our supporters in the room, those with endowed scholarships or current youth scholarships. He just pours his heart into it. So y'all make sure you reach out to Alan and thank him. Before going any further, we have some of our coaches in the room. I saw Coach Averill, Coach Muse, Coach Weichner, Coach Llewellyn. I think Coach Haas is here. Coach Dickert's here. We are so grateful, and I apologize if I missed anyone else, but we are so thankful for your leadership. You care and steward Wake Forest so well. Coach Hayes, I know Coach Hayes is here. You all care so much about Wake Forest and bringing these fine young men and women to this campus that it's not about these next 4 years. It's about the next 40 or 50 and the difference they're going to make in the world. And we can't thank you enough for your commitment to doing that. Also want to thank Dr. Wente, our trustees, our Deacon Club Board of Directors members, Athletic Advisory Council members. John Curry, who will be with us a little bit later this afternoon, talks about alignment. There has never been better alignment within Wake Forest and Wake Forest athletics about where we're going, how we're going to get there, and the inspiration that each of us need to be and take part in that. So without further ado, you all know it's not a presentation with Wake Forest without reminding you of our vision and our values. We strive every day to be a model intercollegiate athletic program, and we do that by keeping our goals in focus, to operate with integrity, to bring world-class student-athlete experience to the forefront, best fan experience, and ultimately to win. Men's cross-country student-athletes, I'd love for you to stand, please. Round of applause for the championship they brought home. Y'all, the conference got a lot harder. There's more schools, and they're pretty good. I don't want to talk about who they are, but they're pretty good. And men's soccer was able to successfully bring home another trophy and championship under Bobby Muse and his staff. We'd love for our men's soccer student athletes to please stand. Winning feels pretty good. And I want to congratulate our women's soccer student athletes for getting to the College Cup if our women's soccer student athletes would stand. We were so proud to be along with you for that journey. You all worked so hard. It was so much fun. Thank you all. Y'all, those student athletes are here for a lot of reasons. The hard work, the sacrifice that their families make, the dedication of the coaches and the support staff around them. But most importantly, they're here because a lot of our supporters in the room care. They cared without knowing who you were, knowing that you were going to step foot on this campus and be here. They've been supporting for years, and they plan to do so for years to come. And that leads us to celebrating a very special Demon Deacon in Rob Knapp. I know Rob is passed away in the spring in 2024, and we've been thinking a lot about Rob and his legacy and his family. And I know Marcia is here, his granddaughter Juliet and daughter Courtney, and we are so grateful for you sharing Rob with us and the impact that he has had on our staff and our student athletes. That's a list of scholarships that Rob and his family have helped start and create at Wake Forest. They're not just one sport. Rob played tennis at Wake and then went on to a career to serve our country and then serve other people in helping their vision for how philanthropy can look, working with Merrill Lynch. And I'll tell you, those families were all inspired by different reasons, but they were inspired by the generosity of Rob and Marcia. And we are so grateful and honored. And I know some of those families are here that have started those scholarships. That's 14 more student athletes who get to come to Wake Forest, who get to experience this campus, and ultimately who are going to have a life-changing experience that will carry with them wherever they go. Please, round of applause for Rob and Rob's family. The Knapp family, like many others, cares so much about scholarship and being able to provide for our student athletes. So in typical fashion, as we do each year, we want to talk about our progress. Wake Forest is a very, very expensive but valued education. I see some parents in the room laughing. Is it crying or laughing, Julianne? What are we doing? It's crying. All right. Well, for us at Wake Forest to be able to overcome that, and by the way, it's so worth it. We've been inspiring so many to get involved with our scholarship program. And we've been doing that up till now, and we'll continue to do through endowment support. Our current endowment sits at about $85 million. Before long, that endowment will be over $100 million, and we can't wait for that day and to celebrate that. Keep in mind that that produces about 5% spin-off, so almost about $4 million or so annually to help with that annual scholarship cost you see, which is $18 million. Where does the rest come from? It comes from our Deacon Club members, and it comes from a commitment from so many across the country, and we have that here today from California, Florida, Texas, New York, Massachusetts, obviously here in North Carolina, who are thinking about Wake Forest all the time and how they can help. We're looking forward to getting more gold on that pie chart over the next couple of years, and we look forward to your support in doing it. And it happens with the creation of new endowments. So I want to take a moment to celebrate the 10 new families since the last time we've been together who have helped start scholarships. And there's lots of different reasons why these scholarships have started. The McDonald Shelton, both advisory council member families, came together after last year hearing about our In Her Wake initiative, saying we need to do something for one of our women's programs. Came together, put their resources together, and created a women's athletic scholarship that will be awarded in the near future. The Joey Bullock Scholarship, the one on top for football. Joey was an alum, but he was also a sports performance coach for the football program in the 1980s. He unfortunately passed, but his legacy is going to live on because the student athletes whose lives he touched felt it necessary to tell his story, to continue to inspire people. That scholarship is going to go to a football student athlete who demonstrates leadership and hard work in the weight room, in the classroom, and on the field. That will be awarded here in the next few years as it gets funded, and we can't wait to see that student athlete who is on that scholarship honoring Joey. We're going to move on, but those other families all have unique stories. They're parents of Wake Forest. They're friends of Wake Forest. They're former student athletes from Wake Forest, and we're so thankful for their contributions in starting those scholarships. Y'all, Table 10, George and Roberta Papayu. Y'all may have seen on our website, on GoDeeks.com, there'll be a DSX, Will Pantages, and his staff have promised me we'll see it next week. And a special shout out to Parker and others on that staff, Seth, for capturing today. We look forward to the outcome of all that. But they captured a beautiful story about your generosity and your philanthropy Y'all, the Papayus have created the third scholarship at Wake Forest to be fully funded. $2 million investment in Wake Forest that will produce $100,000 a year, a full scholarship for our football program. I don't know why we're waiting to clap, but we need to do it right now. Okay. George and Roberta called our Deacon Club staff, and they've been involved. George has been on our board of directors. They're at our games. They're so supportive in so many ways to Wake Forest, but called this summer sharing that a meeting like this, a conversation about scholarship, a panel they heard years and years ago has stuck with them. And it's stuck with them because of their value of wanting to create relationships and have impact. And we are so grateful for what you all have done for Wake Forest, and can't wait for your student athlete to be awarded in the fall and for that relationships to start. And by the way, if you have someone that you'd like, you better ask Coach Dicker, because now's your chance. He'll help you out. He'll get who you want. There you go, quarterbacks. George, I'm proud of you for already putting that plug in there. Good for you. What I'm also proud of and proud to share is that your story has already inspired another family to make a $2 million commitment to Wake Forest baseball. And that's MLB Hall of Famer from Wake Forest, Eric Hansen. Eric joins a long list of pro athletes who have started scholarships. Chris Paul, Lanny Watkins, Curtis Strange, Rodney Rogers, right? He has not forgotten about where he's come from and how he got there. And as you all can see, I know the font's a little small, but it's the Hooks Hansen Baseball Scholarship. Eric and Tom Walter, and Coach, I know you're here today. We all had a conversation, and Eric was reflecting on his time at Wake Forest. And he told us an unbelievable story. And the story goes that he came on his recruiting trip at Wake Forest and loved it. He wanted nothing more to be a Demon Deacon. However, when he sat down to talk about scholarship opportunities, Dr. Hooks unfortunately told him at that moment in time there wasn't enough funding for baseball to provide him that scholarship. He went back home to New Jersey disappointed because he was going to have to go to Duke. All right? That's the true story. But he had a phone call waiting for him, and it was from Dr. Hooks. And Dr. Hooks said he had called local Deacon Club members to round up enough funds to provide a scholarship for him. Eric, 40-plus years later, hasn't forgotten that. I didn't have the chance to be a part of the call, but I know Tom Walter did, where he was with Dr. Hooks. And he called Eric Hansen, and Eric got to share with Dr. Hooks about his vision for this scholarship to be for an ace pitcher that comes to Wake Forest that's going to make a difference out on the ball field and then obviously here in the long term for their career. George and Roberta, that all started with them inspiring the Hansen family with the gift that you just made. And they rose to the occasion as well, being now the fourth scholarship at Wake Forest to be fully funded to provide for a student athlete. Y'all, the Hansens aren't here today, but a round of applause for that unbelievable commitment as well. Y'all, as we think about these transformational gifts, these leadership gifts, and back to that pie chart where we're covering about 20% of our scholarship cost, we have to think different at Wake Forest. We have to think different. We're at a moment in time where things are changing as it relates to the way we can give out scholarships and how we do it. So on this slide that you see here, what this demonstrates and shows is the amount of scholarships we have, which is around 350 athletic endowments. But those that are tied to transformational estate gifts is roughly 20%. Our hope is that the next time we're in this room, our challenge to the Deacon Club members with endowed scholarships is to be thinking about their long-term legacy for Wake Forest, thinking about how they can create lasting impact in a significant leadership way. And we hope to engage with you about your scholarship and tying it to an estate commitment, which, as you all know the joke, if you put Wake Forest in your will, you're going to live forever. So it's a really good deal, okay? But y'all, we hope that you engage with our Deacon Club staff in this specific effort as we think, how do we create sustainability and long-term success for the Deacons? But I mentioned it's a new point in time, a new opportunity to provide more scholarships for our student athletes as the rules with the NCAA change and we enter what we call the new era of college athletics. Y'all, you can see here on the endowed scholarship side what it takes to fully endow a scholarship. To do it through endowments, a $2 million investment. To make a half is a $1 million investment. To provide a quarter opportunity is a significant leadership gift, $500,000. But y'all, we have an opportunity now moving into next year, and I see Mr. Nasser here. Ray, how are you? It's good to see you. The Nassers were ahead of the game. A few years ago, they started a process of not only creating an endowed scholarship, but also a current use one to put to work and to be assigned to a student athlete, to start building that relationship while a more significant and a larger endowment gift was being paid and donated. Y'all, the right side, that current use scholarship, that's the path to make Allen Ashworth absolutely crazy to think about how more people can fit in this room. How can more student athletes get in this room next year because we've been able to provide for more opportunity for scholarships? Y'all, we hope and invite you to think about funding a quarter use scholarship or a half current use scholarship or even a full. And what I'm also excited to share is that we've been on the road talking about this new era of college athletics and this new opportunity to help. About a week or two ago when we had this slide, there was a lot less names, but we've been on it, like I said. And I want to shout out a special thanks to the Hines family, Pete Hines and Dee. I know you all are here for a men's soccer scholarship. We're going to hear from Pete in a little bit. The Tucker family. Y'all, on Tuesday, we dedicated the Tucker Student Athlete Excellence Center. It's where academic services and student athlete development come to be. All of our student athletes are in there doing their study hall, right? Maybe, if you need it. I needed it all 4 years. Jane Caldwell was all over me. Another story, another day. But the Tuckers have made the investment of football current use scholarships, 3 of them. It's not only about the place, and we're really lucky to have some beautiful facilities, but it's about the people and putting the right student athletes in those rooms to be successful. The list goes on. We have our very own Riley Skinner, 2006 ACC champion. He and his family have stepped up to do a current use scholarship. Along with many other in the room, Alice Warden has provided some for field hockey and football and are challenging others with current use scholarships to get more engaged. Y'all, if there's any inclination for having 100% of your donation go to scholarships versus that 5, which is still great and we're so appreciative of, don't hesitate to reach out. The phone lines are open. We're ready to go. Y'all, as we kind of wrap up and conclude, I just want to say we love getting to do what we do for Wake Forest and the Deacon Club. We love the relationships with everybody around the room, and we so look forward to creating new ones. Student athletes in the room, you're going to hear from a panel later about this today, tomorrow, and forever, of what it means to be a part of Wake Forest and the Wake Forest family. And I guarantee you'll have some seeds planted about what 10, 15, 20 years from now is going to look for you. And I'm really excited about that. Without further ado, though, I'd like to bring up Executive Senior Associate Athletic Director Barry Faircloth for Development and Corporate Partnerships to talk about our Deacon Club Member of the Year. Barry?
Thanks, Pish. I don't know how you do that without a note. How about for Mike Piscatelli, right? He is a true pro. We call it the two-headed monster. You get some of Pish and you get some of me. So anyway, when I walked in here today, Jim Abernathy said, he's like, Barry, and it's kind of his southern drawl, and he's one of our longest-serving Deacon Club members, said, I don't like all this change, but I sure am excited. Jim, we are too as well. But, as I look out as it's an amazing group of athletes, coaches, supporters, it is with extreme gratitude and appreciation. I would especially like to thank our Deacon Club board, our Athletic Advisory Council. They spent all day yesterday meeting, planning what we do. They devote so much time and effort to supporting our development operations. So thank you, Deacon Club board and Athletic Advisory Council. We've come a long way in our facilities, our scholarships, our excellence funds, progress in NIL, the In Her Wake campaign, due to all the collective support of everyone in this room. I receive countless people who are just excited, if not amazed, about how Wake Athletics continues to progress into what is unquestionably a model intercollegiate athletics program that others are trying to emulate and the envy of college sports right now. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to award a Deacon Club Member of the Year. It's really difficult to single out any one person amongst all of our members. Everybody has been so generous and involved, but sometimes it's kind of easy. You kind of just get that Excel spreadsheet and you sort by largest commitment. And you know what? Someone stands out. Today, I would like to recognize Ed and Catherine Baylog. Ed's first gift to Wake Forest was in 1994. It was a $100 gift matched by PricewaterhouseCoopers, which resulted in a $200 gift to the business school. At the same time in 1994, Jeff Bezos started Amazon by selling books out of his garage. Over the years, Ed and Catherine Baylog have supported all areas of the university, including the college, the Divinity School, the Deacon Club, Brian Piccolo Cancer Fund, Wake and Shake, Summer Immersion Program, Football Excellence Fund, Field Hockey Excellence Fund, Football Locker Room Project, Sutton Sports Performance Center, Baylog Dupree Scholarship, leased seats in McCrary Tower, leased floor seats, a major contributor to Roll the Quad, and most recently, named the Baylog family football assistant coach for wide receivers in perpetuity. It's quite a list. Amazon now sells everything and anything, and it arrives sometimes within the hour and sometimes the next day. Ed, however, has volunteered as reunion chair, College of Arts and Sciences Board, engaged volunteer in his fraternity, Delta Kappa Epsilon, Athletics Young Deacon Club Advisory Board, Parents Athletic Advisory Council, Athletics Advisory Council, and now is emerging as a leader on the Deacon Club Board of Directors. Amazon's stock has risen 2,500% since 1994. But Amazon has nothing on the Baylog family. Their annual giving has risen 99,000% since 1994. Ed came to Wake Forest on the Hankins Scholarship, was a football player for a year until the Deke fraternity got him, and graduated from the School of Business and Accounting in 1988 and is a CPA. He is now the Chief Operating Officer of Ridgemont Equity Partners, an $8 billion private equity firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ed and his wife, Catherine, Chief Volunteer Field Hockey Photographer, while their daughter, Caroline, who's graduated was a field hockey member of the field hockey team from the class of 2022. We're on the Parents Athletic Advisory Council together, Ed and Catherine. And Ed and Catherine also have twin sons, Jack and Grant. In total, the Baylog family has commitments totaling $5 million to Wake Forest University over their giving career. It is my distinct pleasure to recognize Ed and Catherine Baylog. Please come up as your Deacon Club Members of the Year. Come on up.
Sure. Well, you heard Barry say, I work for Price Waterhouse. That's an accounting firm. I was an accounting major here. One of the reasons I was an accounting major was because I didn't want to write papers, and I hate public speaking. And unlike Pish, I'm not very good at not looking at my notes. So I'll try and be brief and try and hit all the points that I wanted to hit. So thank you very much. Just easy things to talk about today because this means so much to us. This is just an honor for me and my family. Being a Wake Forest fan has been a labor of love and a lifelong passion. I graduated in 1988. Caroline, who played field hockey, graduated in 2022. My son Jack's over here. His twin Grant, they're 26 years old. They aren't Wake grads, but they've probably been to as many Wake sporting events as most people, and they've been rocking the tie-dye since Skip Prosser first introduced it about 20 years ago. Similarly, Catherine has been to hundreds of Wake events, and to the point where people ask what year she graduated. Catherine is not a Wake grad, but for those of you who recall the Barry Levinson movie Diner, and the husband-to-be quizzing his fiancée on the Baltimore Colts exam. I can promise you that she passed the Demon Deacon quiz with flying colors. So I say all that to say that this has been a family affair and a joy. And that's how I think about Wake Forest Athletics and the Deacon Club. It's a family. Families support and inspire one another. And the folks in this room have just helped inspire us, and we pay it back and inspire each other. We've obviously got the Mount Rushmore of Wake Forest Athletics and Mr. McCreary and Ben Sutton and Mitch Shaw. And we're so appreciative for everything they've done and everything they continue to do. But Barry mentioned and Mike mentioned the Tucker family, for example. Carl Tucker and his family were honored last year with this award, and that was last year. And all they've done since then was be the anchor donor for a multi-million-dollar student-athlete excellence center that you heard Mike talk about, as well as fully fund these scholarships. So appreciative of the example that they set and everything they've done. I'm not sure where they're sitting today, but thanks to the Tucker family. And that's what inspires us to pay it forward and do our part. And that's where the coaches and athletes in this room come into play. We do these things because of the joy and the pride and the memories that you give us. So thanks so much for that. I also just wanted to take a moment in these uncertain and unprecedented times to acknowledge the athletes, and we're so encouraged and excited for the opportunities that this new landscape is bringing for you to take advantage of your talents and your name, image, and likeness. And we know that you have choices, and that's why we do what we do to try and make this a world-class student athlete experience. So we're really inspired by what we watch you do, and we're excited for what lies ahead. That said, in this environment where everything is becoming more and more transactional, I would very much encourage you to lean on your coaches, lean on your players, and develop the relationships. You heard Mike say this isn't a four-year engagement, this is a 40-year engagement. And so enjoy these precious times that you have with your coaches and your teammates and build that relationship. They and we are your family. This is the Wake family. And you see how much Wake Forest means to us, and hopefully 40 years from now, if not 10 years from now, you're back at this luncheon, and it means as much to you all as that it means to us. So really encourage you to lean into the Wake family. I can promise you it's a powerful network. And thanks again for what you do. You heard us say this is the 12th, I believe, brunch that we've had. And so it's become a tradition. And just like last year, when we beat Duke, let's keep that tradition and go beat them again. So, go Deeks!
Thanks, Ed and Catherine. And Ed, you mentioned 3 people on that Mount Rushmore. There's room for one more, so keep it up. We'll put you on up there. I'd now like to ask George Stye. George is a redshirt sophomore, 6'6", 290. Is that right? Pretty solid there, my man. From Franklin, Tennessee, who's going to give our invocation. George?
If y'all would please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this time to come together and grow in connection and relationship with all the people of this room. Lord, thank you for the generosity that has been produced through the people of this room that has allowed so many blessings and opportunities to come not just to myself, but to all the other athletes of the room. And Lord, bless this food that in the hands that have prepared it. Lord, allow us to be in the better service of our fellows. And in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
All right, you can eat. There's trivia questions at your table to encourage conversations. There's distinctive characteristics, so y'all enjoy your meal.
Today, is for you to build those relationships, that rapport, and hopefully that carries on well beyond this annual event. But it is my distinct pleasure to bring up our panelists for today, starting with Wake Forest Junior, number 18, Amelia Fry. Y'all, Amelia is a forward on the field hockey team, HES major, Spanish minor. She's from Missouri area. Louisville, Kentucky. We got to update these bio. I'm telling you, these bio sheets are not right. Might as well throw them out. Amelia is on the Maria Whitehead Scholarship, which was established originally by the Bowman family, who is here with us today, which we are so grateful for. Maria was a 2003 graduate of the Wake Forest field hockey program, was here from 1999 to 2003. She unfortunately and tragically passed away in 2006 at the age of 25. Unbelievable and courageous battle against cancer that she fought. And this scholarship that Amelia is on is based on academic and athletic excellence. And you all get to hear in a little bit as to why Amelia is the perfect student-athlete recipient. Everybody, Amelia. Now, this next panelist I wasn't in school with, but he was our starting center at Wake Forest. Not at all. Point guard, the fastest dude on the court. Ish, we're talking about you. Ish Smith, 2010 graduate, right from here in North Carolina. Yeah, you're going to be right there. Second all-time in assists, according to Wikipedia. Stands as the only player in school history with 1,000 points, 600 assists in his career. Will Pantages, we might need to fact check that, but we're going to trust the internet this time. Senior year, his third team All-ACC, and it was seventh in the nation in assists. Didn't stop dishing it out. 14-plus year career in the NBA champion in 2023 with the Denver Nuggets. Ish Smith.
Hey, hold on. I was second team All-ACC my senior year.
See, I got a pen just for that reason. Second team. Let the record stand. All right. Marvin Skeeter Francis Memorial Scholarship, named in honor of Skeeter Francis, who was a media director for Wake Forest for a long, extended period of time, and was also inducted into in the Hall of Fame in 1995. Ish Smith will be joining him here soon in just a little bit. Y'all, next up to bring is Molly Burns. Molly's a 1987 graduate from Greensboro, North Carolina. Executive Director of the Loomis Family Foundation. Molly serves on the Deacon Club Board of Directors. She's been instrumental in the establishment of a handful of scholarships, not only her own, but through the matching scholarship programs we've done during the 50th anniversary of Wake Forest women's athletics and in her wake. Miley and her family have proudly established the Burns Joel Athletic Endowment, which is held by junior women's soccer player Kaya Hanks, who was on our stage just last year sharing about her experience. Kaya was a Mack Hermann Trophy finalist this past season. The Burns, as I mentioned, have helped over 5 other families establish scholarships, and we are grateful to have Molly on the panel. And lastly, Pete Hines. Pete's a 91 graduate, Demon Deacon parent, and soon to be super involved, as you saw, with a current youth scholarship for our men's soccer team. Hails from Virginia, business major while at Wake, and led the club soccer team to a national championship. ACC champ, might as well be. I'm editing everything, Pete. We can do what we want. And I believe John Curry was on that team. He was the senior VP for global marketing and communications of Bethesda Software. Helped produce such amazing games as Fallout and Starfield. And as I said, currently on the Deacon Club Board of Directors, an unbelievable strategic partner. Y'all, round of applause for our panel. We're going to get started here in a minute. I think all the mics are hot, so watch what you say, all right? Amelia, we're going to get started with you. This is a really loaded question, so I can't wait for it. But how did you come to Wake Forest?
Well, first, is this on?
I don't think it's on. This mic ain't hot.
It's okay. I don't. Oh, got it. First, I would just like to acknowledge all the student athletes in the room, the Deacon Club members, as well as administration. Thank you all so much for your dedication to the celebration of scholarships. And I would also like to acknowledge just the power of shared spaces. I've been lucky enough to attend a Hall of Fame induction as well as the anniversary for the Field Hockey National Championships. And I remember both of these experiences so vividly because of the visceral emotions that they elicited. So I hope our stories today can contribute to creating a space equally as empowering and inspiring. But the way I came to Wake, when I reflect on my time...
I think we're done now.
Hey, I think we're good. I need a dictionary Ish, how about you? They did not teach me any of that at Wake Forest, everybody.
Drop the mic. Yeah, why don't you?
When I reflect on my time at Wake, there's nothing more fitting than the way in which I got here, which was a simple relationship. There was a woman who came as part of a coaching staff from North Carolina that came to run a camp at my high school in Louisville, Kentucky, and she happened to be best friends with our head coach, Jen, here, and it is that relationship that set into motion my college experience. But along the way, there were many other people that helped me be where I am today, one of which was a former field hockey student athlete at Wake, also from Louisville, Kentucky, by the name of Kelsey Gill. And throughout the process, Jen had encouraged me to connect with Kelsey, to just hear more about her experience. And this was before I had an offer. I was not one of those players with like the 5 baseball hats and they're all Power 4 schools and they have full ride offers to every single one. That was not me. And so she just encouraged me to reach out to Kelsey and connect with her and just hear about her experience. So I had texted Kelsey earlier in the day, probably in the morning. And throughout the recruiting process, I was very prepared. I like to have my laptop with my spreadsheets and my notes for every single meeting. And I was going to bed that night. It was probably 8 or 9. That's the time I go to bed. And I had my retainers in, the lights were off. I was in bed, in my pajamas. And she texted back and she's like, "Does 5 minutes work?" And I was like, "Yes, it does." And so I got out of bed, took out my retainers, didn't have my laptop. I was super stressed. And good thing I didn't have my laptop. I didn't even need to say more than just an introduction. And she took away the talking for the next hour and a half. And I remember at the end of that call, I wanted to go down and share everything with my parents, but they had been asleep for 3 hours. So I decided to just go downstairs, and I remember the 5 words I said: "It has to be Wake." And from that point forward, I just knew that this was the place that I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to avail myself to the opportunities that she had shared. And so it's no surprise that relationships have been at the center of my Wake experience, and I hope that's indicative of how my life will be as well.
It's fantastic. Thank you. Ish, you sure you want me to pass this next question to you? Ish, how about yourself? How did you come to Wake, and how did relationships play into that?
My story wasn't as good as hers. What happened was we lost Chris Paul, and they needed a point guard. So it was like, let's get the little scrawny kid from Concord, North Carolina. We need to figure something out. Honestly, it was long, recruiting process. I think a little bit of it was we didn't know Chris Paul was going to leave, and he ended up leaving, going to the NBA, and they needed a point guard. And after we couldn't get Ty Lawson, we couldn't get Javaris Critton, we couldn't get who was the other point guard? It was Mike Conley, who we really wanted. The opportunity and door opened for me, and that's been my life. That's been my career. I've enjoyed the relationships I built here at Wake, and that's been kind of my story. And you guys have embraced me. It's been family, and every time I see a Deacon out in the States and even internationally, it's always family. So I've appreciated it, but that's how I got here at Wake Forest.
It's wonderful. Molly, your family story is special. You had left Wake and came back. Tell us about what's led to this increase in involvement and engagement. What was it about Wake Forest for your family?
Well, I really think leaving Wake Forest I graduated in '87, and my husband and I moved far away across the country for 20 years. And during that 20 years, we really missed our Wake Forest community. We missed our friends, and we missed, what they embodied. And when we moved back, we wanted to show our children those Wake Forest roots, and so we immediately bought season tickets. And it was 2006, the Riley Skinner years, and it was when we beat Florida State. We were down on the hill, and, it was pretty easy to be hooked after that point. We said, yeah, we're all in. We love it here, and just passing those values on to our children and showing them this kind of community has been wonderful.
Love that, Molly. Thank you. Pete, you've come on hot lately in terms of Wake Forest engagement. If anyone's had the chance to speak with you, men's soccer has really been your passion. But talk to us about your journey as a supporter and really as an alum.
Sure. I have always said that this school changed my life when I came here in '87 from Charlotte Catholic. The opportunities that I was given, the support that I got, the belief that I got from other people, John Justice and Barb Deary and Buzz Levin and all of these alums and employees here who were willing to give me a chance to try new things, to get outside of my comfort zone. And even though I didn't play for men's soccer here, like you said, I did play club soccer. Soccer player is how I've always identified myself. I played from the time I was 5 until I was 50 and COVID hit. I played every day, every week, all the time. It was just part of who I was. And you know, I tried to take a lot of what I learned in soccer about what it really means to be a team, and tried to bring that to the corporate world, to the game company that I ran, and took a company from being a handful of folks, literally, you know, there wasn't 10 of us, to 2,800 around the world, and you know, we got bought by Microsoft for a lot of money, like $7.5 billion.
How much money?
$7.5 billion. I didn't get all that, trust me. My name would be up on that scoreboard by itself. But it afforded me.
We're not taking that one down,
No,
sorry.
I wouldn't either. That guy's a legend. No, don't take that down. But I decided that, you know, my parents were very giving, volunteer-oriented folks their whole lives, still are. And I decided it was time for me to retire and use what I had learned to try and help folks on their journey. And so I've been spending my retirement donating time to people and places and trying to leave them better than I found them. And there's no better people than the folks that I find at Wake Forest. It's not about our buildings. It's not about our stadium. It's not about the quad. It's about the people that you meet here, the quality of those people, the culture that we have. And every time you go somewhere else and every time you talk to somebody else who's been somewhere else and comes here, you see the differences, how different it is, how we show up for each other and what we're about than everybody else. And it's fun to be a part of that and be able to give back to that.
Appreciate that, Pete. Ish, you hear about Pete's journey and working and where he's been. We've obviously had the chance to watch your career since your time at Wake. What kind of lessons did you take from Wake that you brought to the league that, you know, ultimately you want to share with this room because they were so valuable?
Yeah, so here I grew up as a man. Had a lot of ups and downs. I'm sure a lot of y'all seen it. From being hurt to not be able to make a freaking free throw to to capping it off my senior year, you know, beating Texas and then losing to a Kentucky team that I looked up the research. We still haven't beaten Kentucky in the tournament, but that's a different subject. But I learned a lot, just ups and downs, how to get up off the canvas, you know, when you go through some tough situations and tough times. And I took that on in my career. I try to teach that to my children, and I try to teach that to anybody else who, you know, wants that kind of information, wants any information. So that Wake taught me so much, but the most, you know, important thing is how to get up off the canvas and keep pushing and pressing.
Awesome. Amelia, you got your graduate time, you know, coming up here soon. Not yet, because by the way, you can stay for like ever if you want at Wake Forest. You do not need to leave. But when you do graduate, what are your aspirations and your hopes, and how are you going to take Wake Forest with you, similar to like you've heard with some of our other panelists?
Well, a big intrinsic motivator for me in the Spanish classrooms throughout my 3 years at Wake has been being able to one day translate that to the Spanish culture outside of the classroom. So I really hope to go abroad and be immersed in that. And I don't know if that has anything to do with my Spanish professors at Wake being very steadfast supporters of me on the field hockey field, but probably a little bit correlated. So I hope to do that, and then I would love to attend PA school when I return and ultimately fuse my passions for healthcare, children, and the Spanish language as a pediatric physician's assistant, serving both English and Spanish-speaking clients.
It's amazing. I mean, we're going to come back to you right now, even to just talk a little bit more about the Maria Whitehead Scholarship, because I think this room needs to hear how you have owned that and taken that on in such a special way, and how it motivates you.
So the value of the Maria Whitehead Scholarship is really twofold for me. From a purely financial standpoint, I wouldn't be at Wake without this scholarship. It's allowed my family to be part of my college experience in a way that they otherwise wouldn't have been. So they've been able to visit, to meet my coaches and some of my professors, to see me compete and to see where I spend a lot of my time, which has been really important to me. And additionally, like, conscientious people just tend to worry a lot. So being able to worry less about the financial aspect and divert more mental space and energy toward my academic and athletic development has been just critical for me here. A third piece of that is that scholarships are a way for Wake Forest to demonstrate their value of character. So rather than just stats or records, it's really upholding an individual, especially these name scholarships where you have the opportunity to connect with that person that's providing these opportunities for you. And so it's not only saying, hi, we see you and we see your abilities, but also we see your potential to contribute to something that's greater than yourself. And then the second aspect of the value in the Maria Whitehead Scholarship is being able to play, compete, study, and just live my life on a day-to-day basis in the honor of Maria. And Jen, as well as many of the former teammates and players that Maria was able to influence through her life, have done such an incredible job keeping her spirit and her memory alive. She embodies the power of resilience, the power of the human spirit, and that's been such a grounding aspect and so central to the way that I lead myself on a day-to-day basis. And every spring there's a spike ball tournament in her honor. It serves as a fundraiser for melanoma research. And we got shirts that say "Fight for 5" with 5 and Whitehead on the back. And I began to wear this shirt to bed because it was super comfortable. But I realized that subconsciously every night at the end of my day when I put this shirt on to go to bed, it was always a sentiment of gratitude and really the power of perspective and realizing that whatever I did that day, whether it was a hard workout or a hard day in the classroom, her hard days were fighting for her life. And she did that with such incredible grace and resilience. And so to be able to recognize that it's not about me and what a privilege it is to be able to honor her life by having a hard workout, by being able to test our physical bounds, or by having a hard day in the classroom and being able to receive such a rigorous education. And so just really being able to honor her in all that I do has been absolutely central to just each day-to-day for me.
Amelia, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Coach, you did the right thing by offering her scholarship to Amelia. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. Well done. That's really powerful. Very powerful. And speaking of powerful, Molly, your family has created athletic scholarships. You all have become so ingrained in the athletic endowment program. Would love to hear what your take is on your family's involvement there, and then what the future holds with current youth scholarships and other things that you know we're working towards.
Well, as you can see from here in Amelia, it was so important to Jeb and I to have a student-athlete scholarship because we wanted to give someone an opportunity to come to Wake Forest and have the experience we had who maybe wouldn't have been able to come otherwise. And our student-athlete, Kaya, was just a perfect match for us. She just embodies the Wake Forest student-athlete. It's just been a tangible way to see what our investment goes to. We really, philanthropy is important to us, and we want to teach that to our children. I know it's important to you guys because you wouldn't be here if it weren't. And to be able to have this relationship with Kaya and teach our children about the importance of philanthropy has been so enriching for us. Watching her passion for soccer and her passion for the theater and just the value add she is to the Wake Forest community has been, we just are like, way to go us. We're so glad we got involved. And so it's just been a wonderful experience so far.
Kai, I know you have a lot of trust in the Burns family. I heard about something that may have happened this week. Molly, you got to share it. It's pretty funny.
Well, I did find her purse in my car this morning underneath, and she didn't know that she'd left it there. And I said, I love that because that's something my kids would do. And she's just a kid, but she's a great kid, but she still forgets her purse. I also have her grandma's hat.
Y'all are like family at this point, Kai Oz. Working out. That's awesome. Pete, how about for yourself? You know, scholarship is so unique, and these relationships that we're hearing about and how they're unfolding. You know, what's the hopes for the current youth scholarship your family has started for men's soccer?
I mean, this, like most things, was part of a journey, right? I didn't start working with men's scholarships or with the program right out of the bat like that. It grew and developed over time. You know, I got to know Bobby a little bit, who, you know, I'm happy to say is not just my favorite and the best men's soccer coach in the country, but is become a friend of mine. And the trust that he places in me to allow me to be a part of a team, like I view that word as sacred, right? Allowing me to come into a locker room, like, man, that is a sacred space. And so the trust that he puts in me to allow me to come and try and help inspire his guys, to help, to mentor, to, you know, to be somebody they can listen to, like that's where I started. But this really came out of a conversation with him a couple of months ago, and we're sort of walking through NIL and the changes to the landscape scholarships, and I simply said, what do you need me to do? You want me to take one? Like, I'll take a scholarship. I'll do that. And so I'm doing the current use because I see the need right now as this is changing, that in order to be the caliber team we are, which is the winningest college soccer team in this country for over a decade, that as somebody who has played the sport for 45 years, I recognize the talent in those young men. I recognize the character in those young men, what quality people they are. And so I wanted to help now, but I also said part of my legacy is going to be this. I want to help other people who come here on their journey and try and change their life. And so I also am including a scholarship in my will, so that when I'm not here, like forever, there's going to be somebody on this campus getting helped by me on their journey. And when I'm not around, I have a senior. He's getting ready for the game this afternoon. But he knows, like, hey, this is also part of my legacy to you, is to pick up this torch for this team, for these folks, and to show them the love and to be there for them when they need you, and even when they don't need you, to just show up.
It's awesome, Pete. Thank you. Appreciate what you're doing for men's soccer. Ish, we're gonna kind of get to our almost closing here, as it's almost time for tip-off. Got to catch up with Tyler there. But Ish, what would you say to the student athletes in the room? And then what would you say to the supporters and donors in the room?
For the donors, thank you. Thank you. I always feel like I was raised, my mom and my dad raised me, that we all are service to each other. We're all servant towards each other. And what you guys do and did for me when I was here, and for the athletes now, we really thank you. That's probably as simple as I could put it. For the athletes, enjoy it. It's just your time. It's just 4 years, or I know with this NIL and all this stuff, I don't get it. But you're here for a year.
You definitely didn't get it.
3
You're too old, buddy.
I wouldn't have got it. But anyway. But on the back end. But yeah, I just say that just enjoy your time here in school. You don't get this time back. These 4 years are precious. You grow up. Because once you get into the real world, it's the real world. But enjoy your time here at Wake.
Thanks, Ish. Pete, one word, Wake Forest, to you. What is it in one word? What would you say?
What Wake means to me?
Yeah.
Everything.
Molly? One word.
You got to come with it.
Involved.
Awesome. Ish?
Oh, I thought you
No, you got one word, too. It's only one word, Ish.
It's family.
Family.
Yeah.
That's great. Amelia's actually going to do hers in Spanish. We're going to test this out. We're going to see how.
And it
Amelia-
probably won't be one word.
Luckily, I don't have to be confined
She's
by
not
one
confined
word.
to one word. We've already talked about this. This is all good.
I just want to echo the message of gratitude. Gratitude. I want to echo the message of gratitude as a practice rather than a feeling. And one of the Wake Forest greats once said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." And Maya Angelou reminds us that it's never too late to begin to cultivate a relationship with the people who have meant a lot to you, who have played a significant role in your life. And so it was great to put a face to the Bowman family today because they've played such a significant role in my life. And for all of the student athletes sitting here, I hope that you really understand the magnitude that although they've provided these opportunities for your 4 years, that 4 years changes the whole trajectory of your life. So in that sense, they've had a meaningful impact, and so hopefully you'll take that and express gratitude not only here, not only throughout your time at Wake, but also throughout your entire life. And it would be impossible to talk about my Wake experience without expressing deep gratitude to my coach, Jen. She is so much more than a coach to me. She has been a huge mentor in my life. She has believed in me when I don't believe in myself. She embodies so many characteristics that I hope to one day develop. And I know that if I'm lucky enough to share my story again like this in the future, she will likely be the catalyst rather than the ending. But I want to remind all of you that it is relationships such as the one I have with her that is the foundation that will sustain us through these ever-changing dynamics of not only Division I athletics, but also of the world.
Y'all, round of applause for our whole panel, Amelia.